Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 9 of What If Naruto Became a Fallen Angel. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 10 of it, comment down below, and let me know. And go ahead, and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. So, those are the two. Naruto said as he watched two women in their teens getting off a plane. Once again, he was impressed by this world's women. The elemental nations had nothing compared to the ones he'd seen so far. Thanks to the information from both Azazel and Heaven, he already knew quite a bit about them. The first one was Irina Shidu, who was sent from England. Irina was a beautiful young woman around the same age as Rias, with long, light brown hair and purple eyes. Her hair was tied into twin tails. She wore what looked to be a skin-tight short-sleeved unitard with matching fingerless gloves that extend to her biceps, and boots that reached her thighs. She also wears a crucifix around her neck. Her breasts were smaller than Ria's, but she certainly made up for it in the form of her ear. The other one was Zenobia Quarter. She had blue hair that reached down to her shoulders with some green fringe on the right side of the hair and yellow eyes. She had a slender figure compared to some of the other women he had seen, but still had an above-average bust. Well, better greet them, Naruto said, flying down and landing away from human sight. He made his presence more than obvious so as to get them to move away from the populated area. The blonde followed the two until they lead him to a secluded part of the park. Who will make the first move? Naruto thought to himself as he walked out of his cover. The two exorcists turned towards him with their weapons drawn. So, you finally decided to show yourself, fallen angel, Zenobia said to the blonde who walked towards him. They were slightly unnerved by how calmly he was approaching them. They had been warned of him by some of the church members before they came. A 12-winged fallen angel who wasn't Azazel. It was knowledge that was held back from the majority of the members. So you're the fallen angel that Michael-sama spoke of, the arena stated. It was clear that the two were wary of him due to the likely massive difference in power between the two parties. The two seemed to study him for any signs of him being hostile. My name is Irina Shidu from the Protestant Church. Irina introduced herself. Despite being from enemy factions, he was their ally for now. Zenobia Quarter, the blue-haired teen said quietly. She looked to be ready to attack at any moment as his eyes were kept narrowed on the blonde man. We don't need your help. We can handle this without the help of the fallen, Zenobia claimed. Naruto could tell that she didn't like the fact that he wasn't from her faction. Azazel had told him how she had been raised her entire life in the church and likely viewed devils and fallen angels alike very negatively. Naruto shook his head at how the woman acted. You're not going to be able to do this yourself, you know, Naruto said, flexing his power and unveiling his wings. The way the two of you are, Kaguya will slaughter the two of you without breaking a sweat. The only thing you'll get done is handing over two more holy swords to him, Naruto claimed. He could sense that they weren't ready. His fellow cadre would just kill them and get one step closer to his goal. You don't need to worry about us. We can handle anything he throws at us, Irina said, grinning. She had faith in both hers and her partner's abilities. Naruto kinda saw a bit of himself in her. She was confident and upbeat even when heading into a dangerous situation. Besides, like Zenobia said, we don't need help from you guys, she added on. She didn't want to have to accept help from a fallen angel. They were already planning on talking to the devils, so they would stay out of their way. How about a wager? Naruto said, summoning Joyus and stabbing it into the ground. Their eyes widened at the sight of the once missing holy sword. The church had been looking for that for ages after the Holy Roman Emperor passed away. France had a sword they claimed to be the real one, but the church knew that it was a fake. If you guys can beat me in a spar, I'll hand over my sword to the two of you. If I win, you two have to listen to me, Naruto offered. Irina's eyes widened at the offer. If they brought in the Joyous along with the other Excaliburs, they would become legends among the Christian community. It would no doubt get them praise even from heaven. Let's do it, Zenobia. If we can beat this guy, then not only can we beat Kaguya, but we'll get the Joyous back to heaven, Irina said to the blue-haired woman enthusiastically. Zenobia thought about it for a moment. Her eyes darted from her partner to the sword in the ground. Bring home the sword would be a huge victory for heaven. Let's do it, the blue-haired woman confirmed, rushing at the blonde. Naruto's eyes widened, not expecting her to start already. Metal clanged against metal as Naruto caught the Excalibur destruction with his left hand. The ground under him shattered from the power of the blade, but his arm stayed strong. Ha! Zenobia questioned, not expecting the blonde to withstand her attack so easily. Is that all? Naruto asked as he pushed her sword back, sending her stumbling back. Zenobia was unable to defend herself from a kick aimed at her stomach. Irina transformed her sword into a massive pillow to catch Zenobia before she hit a tree. Her partner rubbed where she had been kicked, wincing. Irina shifted her Excalibur back into a katana and charged at the blonde to give Zenobia time to recover from Naruto's attack. Take this, Irina yelled, swinging for the blondes from the right. Naruto smiled and blocked it with his right pointer finger. His hand was covered in a light blue glow. What the? Irina yelled in shock that her attack had been stopped so easily. I'm not going to go easy on you even if you're cute. The Uzumaki told her, sweeping her leg out from under her and knocking her blade away. Zenobia interrupted with another wild swing of her blade, which Naruto avoided by jumping back. Irina recovered and ran to her sword. Zenobia saw the Joyus stabbed into the ground next to her and went to take it. Really? Naruto thought. As soon as the brunette removed the sword from the ground, sand exploded out from underground and trapped Zenobia in a vice. Ah, the Exorcist cried, feeling herself be bonded by her enemy's trap. It surprised her that it hadn't killed her yet. She had aimed to kill the blonde fallen angel with her attacks, yet so far, the blonde held back his first kick, and the sand was just keeping her in place, not squeezing her to death. He's just showing us mercy. She realized as her partner attacked their opponent once again. Irina turned her sword from a katana into a great sword. Let go of her. Irina yelled as she swung her now giant blade at the blonde, who jumped back. Naruto weaved around her attacks easily. Zenobia was able to use her Excalibur to cut his way out of the sand coffin. The Catholic exorcist joined her partner in her attack against the blonde. Naruto was impressed by the two as he danced around their attacks, having to block a few attacks. But as impressed as he was, he knew they were no match for his fellow cadre. Naruto grabbed Irina's arm and flipped her over his shoulders, slamming her into the ground. Zenobia jumped into the air and brought her down at his back. The last thing she expected was a second blonde to appear in a cloud of smoke and block her attack with a small knife. The kunai broke on impact, but held long enough to knock back her sword. The two Narutos rushed Zenobia, who was overwhelmed by the two much faster enemies. Irina recovered and saw her friend being pushed back without a chance to fight back. Zenobia's outfit was torn from Naruto's kunai. The blonde wasn't cut deep enough to cause any major damage or scar the blue-haired teen, but enough to show he was on control of the situation. Turning Excalibur mimic into a spear, Irina threw it at the clone, who turned around in time to catch the spear. God help me, Irina said, paling out, when Naruto threw her sword into a tree on the other side of the field. If she wanted to get it, she would have to get through both blondes. I mess up big time, Irina though, as she tried to find a way to get back to her sword. Ep. Irina yelled when the clone went at her. You got this, Irina, she said to herself. Still think you can handle Kaguya? The clone said to her as she dived out of the way of one of his kicks. I can see that you're skilled, but you're way too far over your head, you know. Maybe if you had more time to train, the two of you could win. Let me help you too, Naruto told her, trying to get her to see how foolish she was being. Why would I accept the help of a fallen angel? Irina responded. Naruto sighed at how she responded to his request. Why? I haven't done anything to you. You dislike me because of my faction, even when it was one of your leaders asked me to help you. I wouldn't let the two of you run straight to your deaths, Naruto said, sounding annoyed by her attitude. All I want is for our factions to live in peace, Naruto said, blitzing her with his overwhelming speed. Despite pulling his punches, she was unable to even mount a counterattack. How can I trust you? Irina asked the blonde. Growing up with the church, she had learned not to trust fallen angels and devils because they were beings of sin. Yet the blonde hadn't acted like she expected him to. Sure, he was a bit arrogant, but so were they. Thinking back, it was foolish to think they could take his sword. He had the same number of wings as Gabriel and Michael. Kaguya only had one pair less than them. Fighting Naruto made her realize how bad of a situation it may have been if they just charged into the Rouge Fallen Angel's base. From the start he seemed to just want to help them, yet here they were fighting him over a sword. Oh God, what will Michael say when he learns that we did this? She thought, knowing how her boss held no contempt for the other factions. Sighing in defeat, Irina decided that it would be best to surrender, since even she could tell that he was holding back for their sake. I give up. The Naruto clone smiled at that. Cheer up, he said, putting a hand on her shoulder. Keep training and I'm sure one day you'll reach your goals. You're a good person. I'm sure you'll make heaven proud, the clone stated. Finishing his little pep talk, he vanished into smoke. Irina thought about what the blonde had said to her with a smile on her face. Meanwhile, Zenobia was panting from trying and for the most part, failing to dodge and counterattack against the fallen angel. Do you surrender? Naruto asked the exorcist. Her right hand was loosely holding onto her sword while she covered her breasts with her left. Her outfit was in tatters from Naruto's kunai. Yes, Zenobia said lowly. She hated to admit it, but she couldn't continue fighting against the blonde without risking some serious damage to her body. Naruto smiled and walked over towards her. The blue-haired woman tensed, thinking that he was going to attack her, only for him to place his palm on her forehead. The Catholic felt a warm feeling spread over her as his wounds started to rapidly heal themselves. She had to hold back a moan of satisfaction. It didn't feel evil or tainted like she expected the power of a fallen angel to feel. When Naruto pulled his hand away, he heard an audible sound of displeasure. Well, I guess everything worked out, Naruto said as Irina walked over to her sword and returned it into a string which she tied around her wrist. Naruto stood triumphantly in front of the two. Now do the two of you understand why I wanted to help you? Naruto asked them, which they nodded to. Yes, Zenobia said lowly. As a proud member of the Vatican, she wasn't the happiest to accept the help of someone who didn't serve heaven, but now see how much they needed a strong ally for them to complete their mission. She was about to tell Irina that it was getting late when their stomach growled. They hadn't eaten since they left, and Irina had spent all their funds already. I guess the two of you need something to eat, Naruto asked, knowing that Irina had always wasted their money earlier in the day. The two nodded, looking embarrassed, if their blushed faces meant anything. Well, I guess I can help you out one more time, Naruto said, laughing as he motioned for them to follow as he picked up his joyous. The blonde took them to a small restaurant that served several Japanese dishes. Order what you want. This place is ran by a fallen angel who left to live peacefully with humans, so everything will be charged to Azazel. Their eyes widened as they started to order things off the menu. Naruto chuckled as he ordered a large miso ramen and a small bottle of sake for himself. The three ate in silence. It was awkward for the two women in the group who were raised not to trust the phone. Irina looked over at Zenobia before turning towards the blonde who was ripping through his ramen. Thank you for the meal, Irina said, breaking the silence between the two parties. Naruto looked up with a few noodles hanging from his mouth and slurped them in. It's nothing really. I can just let two cute girls starve, now can I? Naruto said, joking around. Looking at the time, Naruto noticed that it was getting late. Having followed them all day in their battle, Naruto hadn't noticed what time it was. Well, I need to get going. Meet me here tomorrow, and we'll go talk to the devils, Naruto told them, leaving enough money for them to pay for the meal and for any expenses they may have until the next day. Naruto's home. Walking into his home, Naruto noticed that no one was there. It was likely that Rias was with her peerage training or going a job. Calwinner usually didn't get home until late. Grafia. Naruto called out to the maid but got no answer. Kuroka. Naruto. Shikaku yelled inside of his head in alarm. Damn it, something's wrong, Shikaku said before his voice faded. Naruto's eyes widened when he couldn't hear the tanuki inside of him. His body felt heavy, and his chakra seemed to be out of reach. No matter how many times he tried to draw on, something got in the way. Two slender arms wrapped around his torso as two soft orbs pressed against his back. A rough cat-like tongue licked his whiskered cheeks. Naruto looked back to see a pair of yellow cat-like eyes looking back at him filled with lust. The soft tail brushed against his legs before he was pushed against the couch. Kuroka. Naruto said as he got a good look at the assailant's face. The stray devil's face was blushed as she pressed her body against his. She was completely naked from head to toe. It was a sight he had gotten used to at this point, but she had never done something like this. Lemon warning. I've been preparing for this day for a while now. I even go office to help me with a special poison that she slipped into your ramen, the Nakashu said into his ear. With a sweep of her claw, she tore through his shirt before looking down at his pants. A gleeful smile spread over her face when she noticed the growing bulge. The poison I had her make for me was special. It blocked access to chakra and relaxed the muscles. With her power enhancing it, I knew it would work on you, the black cat said, rubbing his member. Why did you do this? Naruto asked, growling at Kuroka, who just smiled and leaned in to claim his lips. Naruto had no chance as she dominated his mouth. She traced his chest with a finger as she sat back on his bulge. Naruto could feel a faint moistness seeping through his pants. Kuroka pulled back and cupped his face. Simple my Narukain, Kuroka said, grinding against him, causing Naruto to hold back a pleasure-filled groan. Kuroka did nothing to hold back her moan as she rubbed her lower lips against his growing erection. I want to have kittens with you. Is that so bad? With Ria's moving and I knew I had to act fast. I saw how the two of you kissed. I've known you longer, and yet you've never done anything like that with me, she said, clenching her claws a bit, causing him to wince. When I went into heat, I knew I had to act, she said, moving a bit down so she wasn't covering his zipper. The fabric around the area of his crotch was darker from the fluids that came from Kuroka. You don't have to do this, Kuroka. Can we just talk about this? Naruto asked, not sure of what to do. He cared for the Nakamata and would place his life on the line for her, but he didn't want to have sex just to have kids. Don't you want to have kids with someone you love? Naruto asked. Of course I do, Kuroka said, unzipping his pants. You're the closest thing I've ever had to a love in my life, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind being with you. Now be a good fallen angel, let's have some fun, Kuroka cooed, pulling off his pants. Naruto managed to get enough strength to shove forward with one arm, but lacked the strength to move her. Kuroka moaned as Naruto's palm pressed against her breast. You'll regret this, Kuroka, Naruto said as she gripped the rim of his underwear. Kuroka ignored him as she ripped them off him. Looking at the cat girl, he saw him crawling over him. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was the prey. Kuroka pressed her body against him, cuddling him. You're so mean, Naruto, Kuroka said, looking into his eyes. How many months have you and I lived together? How many times have we shared the same bed? And nothing. Yet Riz comes in, and I see you making out, Kuroka stated, looking a bit angry with him. Naruto struggled to contain his fallen angel nature. I want you to treat me like that, Naruto. No. I want more than that, Kuroka said, claiming his lips once again. She couldn't help but moan when he subconsciously responded to her. Kuroka pulled back a bit. You've done so much for me. You even gave me a home even when I'm a stray. She said, moving so her face was over his manhood. And you know what they say about feeding strays. Kuroka said, lightly licking the tip of his manhood. Naruto couldn't help but feel a bit excited at the sight of her face when she took him into her mouth. The Nakashu started to bob her head back and forth, taking more of his manhood each time she went down. Looking down at Naruto's hardened manhood, she couldn't help but smirk. I feel like drinking some milk. Mind feeding the stray some more? She asked, trapping his shaft with her boobs. The blonde was large enough that even when she covered him with her breasts, the tip still poked past. Kuroka gave the tip a lustful look before taking it back into her mouth while rubbing her breasts against the shaft. The two were already getting sweaty, and Naruto knew she had only gotten started. Thank you for the meal. But it's time for the main course. This was what she wanted. What she had risked everything for. I'm so happy. Kuroka told Naruto, looking straight into his shock-filled eyes. The pain of losing her virginity was gone and replaced only by the pleasure from plowing her blonde friend. She was giving it everything she had, increasing the pace as she approached her climax. She meowed, getting louder with each passing descent. She felt she could forget about everything. About the bastard that made her a devil. About the underworld. About office. All she could think of was her blonde friend, no, her blonde lover. Nia, she screamed, throwing her head back. Naruto, to his credit, managed to hold back from cooming himself. He could feel her walls convulsing around his manhood. Kuroka fell forward against his chest as her legs felt weak under her. Damn it, I'll make you coom yet, Nar. Before she could finish, Naruto pushed her back, much to her surprise. Looking up at his face, she finally noticed that his eyes had changed. His left eye was green while his right was yellow. Let go. You know you want to. You made a big mistake, Kuroka. Naruto growled as blue flames flickered from his breath. She could smell the scent of a cat on him. He didn't know where this surge of power came from, but he knew not to look a gift horse in the mouth. You want it so bad. Fine. Naruto said, pushing back into her, which knocked air out for her lungs. Naruto drove into her while she tried to match his pace. Kuroka wrapped her legs around his waist to pull him closer to her. You're going so deep, Nia. She moaned as she felt the tip press against her womb. She was happy that he had responded and taken charge. The position had changed, so she had her back against the rim of the couch. Faster, Naruto, she yelled. Steadily, Naruto sped up until she couldn't keep up anymore, and just left it to him. Naruto's eyes were glued onto her large bust, which was bouncing wildly. Kuroka moaned loudly as Naruto groped her chest. Her nails dug into Naruto's back as she hissed in pleasure. She loved being dominated by him. It showed that she made the right choice in who she would procreate with. She felt his penis twitch inside of her as he fucked her raw. Here he comes. Kuroka thought in joy. She knew that the odds of her getting pregnant were small even during mating season due to the low fertility of devils. But at least now she knew that he would be open in a more intimate relationship. Naruto's eyes widened as his eyes returned to their normal blue. He had lost himself in the moment and began to pull out. Give it to me, Naruto. I don't care what happens. If I get pregnant, we can start a family. If not, then maybe next time. Kuma me, the black cat said to him. Naruto felt his resolve waver. That was the opportunity Kuroka needed to pull him back inside her. Her nails clawed at his back as her womb was filled by his seed. She felt the same surge of pleasure as before. It feels so warm, she thought as her hand traveled down to where he womb was. I'm coming, Naru, she cried. Kuroka, Naruto said, panting slightly. Naruto, she said, holding him closely. You're the only person I will allow to sire my children, she told him. He was the only person she would accept to help her repopulate a race. Even if it wasn't today or the next week. She had centuries to have children. Please take care of me, Kuroka said, giggling. Naruto felt mad at her, but knew that it was only a matter of time until they did this. Granted, he didn't appreciate how she got him to do it. Don't ever do that again, Naruto stated. Kuroka laughed lightly as he laid next to her on the couch. The two got comfortable in each other's embrace. That's what you get for ignoring me. The cat needs to be pampered. And I'm your stray kitty, Kuroka said playfully. And you're my foxy-kun, she added before Naruto got off from the couch. Kuroka said, sounding saddened by the disappearance of Naruto's warmth. Looking at the middle of the sofa, she saw a large stain from when she came. Looks like we're going to need a new couch, Naru, she said, getting off as well. There was a heavy smell of sex in the room. Naruto looked down at his ruined clothing next to the sofa and couldn't help but sigh. Did you have to tear my outfit? Naruto asked, only to be hugged from behind. Kuroka's large breasts pressed against his back. The Nakamata simply kissed his cheek. Like, keep going in the bedroom, Kuroka said, bringing Naruto to his room. Morning, Lemon. And Naruto yawned as he sat up. Looking to his side, he noticed Kuroka sleeping beside him with content smile on her face. He had to get ready to meet Zenobia and Arena, so he got out of bed. Kuroka woke up from his movement. I could get used to waking up like this, Kuroka said, stretching a bit. How about another round, Narnia? Kuroka offered, crawling towards him seductively. Sorry, but I have to meet with some exorcists, Naruto said, declining before walking into the bathroom. Kuroka pouted at being rejected. Hearing the sound of rushing water, she knew that Naruto had started his shower. Thinking about what to do, she made her mind and snuck into the bathroom after the blonde. I know you're there, Kuroka, Naruto said, washing his hair. You're no fun, the Nakashu said, opening the shower door and getting in with him. After a rather interesting shower with Kuroka, the two got dressed for their day. Where is Grafia? Naruto wondered as they walked into the kitchen. He hadn't seen her yesterday, after he left his home that day. She didn't seem to be the type of person to wander off without at least telling someone. Oh? She had to get a few more things from Surzich's castle. I was so into last night I may have forgotten to tell you, and Kuroka told him. The maid had told her to inform Naruto of her situation, but due to her plan working out flawlessly, the blonde facepumped at that and poured himself a cup of tea. Speaking of last night, if you ever get off is to poison me again. Naruto started, holding his hand out. Sand swirled around it, while his eyes took the form of Shikaku's. I'll make you regret it, Naruto said darkly, causing the Nakashu to flinch. I'm joking, but from now on just ask, okay? Naruto said. Fine, Kuroka said as Naruto handed her a cup of tea. About last night, Kuroka said, getting his attention. I know that how I went about tea may not have been the best, but I hope you that I'm serious. And if you ever want seconds, just ask Nia. Kuroka said, giggling only for a copy of the blonde to slap her on the back of the head. Meanie, the devil said, rubbing the back of her head. Wow, you two went at it last night. They heard as Calwarner walked in. Naruto blushed now, knowing that she had overheard the two of them having sex the night before. Finally acting like a fallen angel, Naruto, she asked, hooking an arm around her superior. Maybe I can take a ride on the Nara Express next time, she said, laughing as she took a seat next to the blonde. Maybe, Naruto said, smirking much to her surprise. The three shared a laugh with one another, before continuing to enjoy a breakfast. As Naruto was getting ready to leave to meet with Zenobia and Irina, he heard a knock on his door. Using his senjutsu, he was able to sense that it was Grafia, who had returned from the underworld. Naruto opened the door for the stoke maid, who was carrying a large bag in one hand and a note in the other. Grafia bowed to Naruto before handing him the note before walking past him without a word up to her room. Naruto looked back with saddened by Grafia's summer feel. Going back to get those things had only depressed her further. Looking down at the letter in his hands, he read the name of the sender. Bael. Bael, Naruto thought to himself, remembering what Surzich's had told him about his mother's clan. They were the ones who really controlled the underworld. He hadn't expected them to send him a letter. From what Surzich's told him, they may want him dead, since he would be marrying someone with their bloodline. He was expecting assassins. Addressed to Naruto Uzumaki. Greetings, Mr. Uzumaki. My name is Zekrom Bael, first head of the Bael clan. Surzich's came to me about an issue pertaining to the SS class stray devil Kuroka. At first I was skeptical about him wanting to remove her status. But after seeing your performance against the Phoenix clan and hearing tale of your prowess in battle, along with your cooperation with the devils, I see that having you as an ally is much better than as a foe. I admit I was a bit shocked and angered when I heard that Rias Gremory, who carries my blood, would marry a fallen angel. But considering your strength, I'd imagine the results from your union would be considerably better. Either way, I see that point Surzich's brought up have merit to them. However, doing so would break underworld tradition. I have decided to make you an offer. In exchange for removing her status, I simply want to meet with you. I will be at the Bael clan's castle in 2 days. If you refuse, her status will return to her being a stray and will become a prioritized target. I hope to see you soon. Zekrom Bael. Naruto read the letter. His eye narrowed at the power play from the clan. It was obvious that this was a way for them to try and gain more power for their clan. However, he already knew what he had to do. I'm going, Naruto muttered before leaving for his meeting. Where are they? Naruto asked himself. He had been waiting for the two holy sword users, and they were more than an hour late. It was then that he noticed the slight smell of blood and the feeling of dread. Shit, Naruto thought as he rushed over as fast as he could. The blonde became a blur to everyone as he ran through the city. Arriving at the source of the smell, he was met with the sight of Irina horribly beaten, bleeding on the ground, and Zenobia bleeding against the wall with a gash across her chest. Irina. Zenobia. Naruto shouted as he rushed over to them and began healing the two. Come on, stay with me, Naruto muttered. The two were close to death from blood loss. The clone of the blonde healed Zenobia, who far less injured than Irina, and to a degree was still conscious. The blue-haired woman slowly opened her eyes as pain started to fade. Her vision was slightly blurred as she looked up at the blonde. Lord Michael, she asked, seeing only blurry blonde hair and blue eyes. The blonde laughed a bit, making her realize who was currently healing her. Naruto, she muttered. That's me, but rest. You lost a lot of blood, and there is only so much I can do, the clone said softly to the Catholic. Zenobia nodded and passed out, letting Naruto finish up his work on her body. Finding that its job was done, it dispelled itself. The real Naruto was worried. Irina had lost a lot of blood from her injuries. What was left of outfit was soaked in blood, while deep gashes covered her body. Some of her organs had been hit, and one of her lungs had collapsed. While healing the physical damage was easy for him, thanks to his yang chakra, the blood was a different issue. As soon as he finished healing the physical injuries, he reached into his pocket and put out a vial of red pills. Naruto chewed 3 of the pills into a paste in his mouth. Ugh, blood pills taste gross. Naruto thought before tilting Irina's head up and delivering the red paste into her mouth. Using Shikaku's ability, he manipulated the iron to move down her throat into her stomach instead of her lungs. Those should help her refill her body's supply of blood. Naruto muttered as he picked the 2 up and decided to head to Ria's clubhouse. He arrived to find no one in the building, well, no one who wasn't sealed. Everyone was in class at the moment, so it made sense for the place to be empty. Naruto placed the 2 down carefully on the sofas. I guess Kaguya took their swords. Naruto sighed as he prepared some tea for himself. He wanted to be here when they woke up to get the whole story from them. Shit, it's like someone out there wants to make my life more complicated. Naruto thought to himself. The first one to wake up was Zenobia, who had originally been in better condition than her teammate. The blue-haired teen reached down to where she had been cut, only to find that she was perfectly fine. Not even a scar was left behind on her perfect skin. Looking over at her sleeping partner, she noticed that she was covered by a blanket, but there was no blood or cuts on her face anymore. Finally, she turned her attention to the soul man in the room. You saved us, she said softly. I guess. I just healed you. I should have known that Kaguya would have targeted the 2 of you to steal your swords. Naruto said, feeling a bit bad for not foreseeing this happening. Granted, I really didn't have much of a choice about last night, he thought. He was going to get her back big time for that stunt. Oh, she would regret messing with him. We would have died if you hadn't arrived, Zenobia said, tracing where she had been hit. I owe you my life, she told the blonde, feeling extremely grateful that he had healed her and her friend. He ambushed me, then trapped Irina in a nightmare and attacked her while she couldn't react. She growled out. It was an embarrassment to her and an insult to her faith in God. To have her weapons stolen from her and now used against them. If by chance they have the other pieces, they'll be able to recreate the original sword. Naruto concluded as he summoned his own holy sword and handed it to her, much to Zenobia's surprise. You need a weapon if you want to fight, but return it after we defeat Kaguya, Naruto told her. Zenobia looked at the glowing blade in her hands. She could feel its power pulsing from it in her hand. It wasn't as heavy as her old weapon, but she could tell that it held much more power than it. Joyous, the sword made to contain Longinus, Zenobia muttered, having read up on the lost blade. Thank you, but I have another sword that I can use, she said, putting the sword into its sheath. Just then Rias, Kaneko, and Kiba walked in, having felt Naruto's presence in the school along with 2 others. Rias looked at the 2 semi-naked girls and glared at her fiancé. So, what's going on here? The redhead asked as she walked into the clubroom. She had been busy the previous day with some personal matter. Noticing the crosses around their necks, she instantly knew who they worked for. She also noticed that the blue-haired woman was holding Naruto's sword in her hands. Kaneko wasn't paying attention to the girls, but rather the smell that was coming from the blonde himself. It was very familiar to someone she knew quite well. Walking over to Naruto, she lightly took in his scent. It was different from his normal smell as it leaned closer to a Nekomata. No. Not just any Nekomata, but her sister and the musk of sex. Kaneko-chan? Naruto asked, not used to such a behavior from her. The white-haired teen looked him dead in the eye. You had sex with Kuroka-ni-san, she said flatly. Naruto paled at the feeling of evil radiating off his fiancée. He turned his head towards Rias, who had a blank look on her face. Her eyes were shadowed by her hair, which was waving around slightly from the dark power covering her body. Naruto, she said, walking towards the blonde, who backed up a bit from her. Zenobia just watched on, confused by what was going on between the 2 of them. Angry blue-green met a nervous blue as the 2 made eye contact. So just as we get engaged, you go and have sex with another woman? She asked, placing a hand against his shirt. I didn't really have a choice in the matter, Naruto responded, trying to lighten the situation a bit. Oh? You didn't have a choice. So, I guess we could consider that an accident, huh? Rias asked, getting closer to him. Let's try not to have any more accidents then, Naruto? She said. It rather threatened him. While she couldn't do anything, her brother was more than capable of at least giving the blonde a fight for the ages. I fully expect you to hold out next time until we, as my pawn put it, confirm our wedding, right honey? Yes dear, Naruto answered, smiling nervously. But for now, I think we should deal with the elephant in the room, Naruto said, nudging his head over to Zenobia, who was watching the events unfold with a slight bit of interest, but was overall calm. Zenobia and Irina were sent by heaven to retrieve something that a rough member of my faction stole. I already spoke to the Seraphs, and will be helping them, the blonde told her. Rias glared at the obvious attempt to change the subject away from his time with Kuroka the previous night to the issue that threatened them at the moment. Fine, she said sharply, still angry at Naruto for having sex with someone else before her after their engagement. She noticed that Zenobia had Naruto's sword in her hands. So why does she have your sword? She asked the blonde fallen angel. Naruto was going to let me borrow his holy sword until my mission is complete since mine was stolen by Kaguya, but I wouldn't need it. Our mission was to retrieve the 3 stolen Excaliburs, but now it has gone up to 5, since we were ambushed earlier today. Zenobia explained the basics of her mission to the devil. Naruto turned to Kiba, who was letting out an increasing amount of hatred. Ryuz herself noticed through his darkening face as Zenobia spoke. However, I have to go to a meeting tomorrow in the underworld. For now, the 2 of you can rest from your battle. I have done what I can, but you still need to recover your energy. Ryuz, gather your courage and make sure they're careful. Kaguya is a cadre, and while he may not at my level, he is still on par with an ultimate class devil if not higher. We have a feeling that he will target you and Sona to try and start another war. Naruto told them. Zenobia nodded, understanding that for this kind of situation, it would be best for her in arena to let the blonde lead given his experience and rank. Ryuz was a bit conflicted between her pride and the fact that she was still steaming from learning that Naruto had sex with Kuroka, or knowing that her love was right and she would need to be careful. I understand. Ryuz said before turning towards Kiba and Kaneko. Tell the others that we will be meeting at Issei's house after school. So who exactly are you meeting, Naruto? Not another woman, right? She asked. No? Naruto said, seriously handing her the note that Grafia had given him. Ryuz read over the note carefully. The reader's eyes widened as she had to read the letter several times to make sure that she wasn't reading it incorrectly. I have to meet with Zekrama, risk making him an enemy. It would not only put Kuroka in danger, but you as well, Ryuz. Naruto said, placing his hands on her shoulders. Stay safe until I get back. I will. Ryuz said, giving him a light kiss on the lips. She knew just how dangerous her mother's clan could be, both in battle and politically in the underworld. But don't think that I'm just going to forget about what you did with Kuroka. I forbid you from having sex until I'm ready. She stated firmly. She was already falling behind against the 2 yokai, despite being the only one who is currently legally engaged with him according to devil law. I'll think about it. Naruto said with a wide smirk on his face, only for Ryuz to grab him by the ear. Ow. Okay, I will. Looking back at Arena, he saw that she was beginning to stir. The pelts were something that he had created with Azazel's help and his memory of his former teammate Sakura. Well, welcome back to the world of the living. Naruto said as the Exorcist sat up. I feel like I ran into Truck-kun. Irina said, groaning. She remembered everything that happened before her vision went dark. She had failed her mission and had her sword stolen. We failed, didn't we, Zenobia? She asked the blue-haired teen who looked away. Taking in a deep breath, she reinvigorated herself. Alright, I know we can recover from this. The Christian teen stated. That's right. Naruto said, taking a seat next to Irina. This is a setback, but I know that we can recover from this. Kaguya is strong, but he's far from being the strongest in the Grigori. I'll have someone on standby just in case the worst case happens and he attacks while I'm dealing with the Bael. For now, you guys need to get ready and train. Naruto said before sighing. I have to go talking with Azazel about this. I'll try to be back as soon as I possibly can. Naruto said, giving Ryuz a peck on the lips before walking towards the door. Wait. Irina yelled, standing up but winced. Naruto stopped at the door and looked back at the Protestant, who looked a bit embarrassed despite her pained expression. You could loan us some more money. She stopped when Zenobia had her glare. I spent it all on a picture of a saint. She admitted. A fake painting. Zenobia added in, much to her partner's dismay. Naruto looked at Irina in disbelief for having spent all their money, not just once but twice. We would appreciate it if you could loan us some more money. Zenobia said, bowing to him, hoping that the fallen angel would take mercy on them and help them once again. How about you two just stay at my house? Naruto said, not wanting to risk Irina spending all the money once again. This was they would have a safe place to sleep thanks to Kuroka and Grafia being around most of the time. Kaguya may be a traitor, but he wasn't suicidal. He would think twice before attacking them again, as long as they were around 2 high-ranking devils. The 2 looked at one another as they considered their options. They didn't like the thought of living with devils, but given the situation and the fact that Michael had accepted Naruto's help made their decision a bit easier. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for being a burden. Irina said, bowing to the fallen angel as she accepted his offer. While she knew that she was bound to someone who could be considered an enemy of heaven, she felt grateful for everything he had done for them. He broke the image she had built of what a fallen angel was. It's no big deal. Naruto said, patting her shoulder. Irina blushed at the charming smile Naruto flashed at her. Well, I better call Azazel. If anything happens, just call me, and I'll be back in a flash. The blonde said, walking out of the room, missing the glare Ryuz was giving the 2 of them. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.